folks, listen up!
Good evening. Been a while, huh?
Perhaps you remember us.
We are the Phantom Thieves.
And we're back in action with a new heart in our sights.
A wicked witch who treats people like toys. Alice Hiragi. You pretend you're a ray of light, but all you do is hurt people to indulge your own darkness. You're a bad person, and bad people have to be stopped. And all those desires you stole.
Tonight, we're taking them all back.
The moment Persona 5 Scramble the Phantom Strikers was announced, I was sold. I had loved my time with Persona 5, and the chance to have more, but in the form of a Warriors game, while being presented as an actual sequel, was just perfect. Each trailer sold me on the idea, and when it was finally released in Japan on the PlayStation 4 and Switch, I was able to play a little of the Switch version. Despite the language barrier, I loved my time with it and wanted more because, well, it is Persona and there's a lot of talking. So I decided to wait for the English release. And then I kept waiting, and waiting, and waiting. But finally, the English release was announced with it being simplified to Persona 5 Strikers, and I was fortunate enough to be given a review code for the game. A review is still a ways off though, as the game doesn't release until February 23rd, but I am able to give my impressions of Strikers on the PlayStation 4 so far up until the first boss. Can I still unconditionally gush so far? Well, let's jump in. Right off the bat, the big question is whether newcomers can jump in or if they should have familiarity with Persona 5 beforehand. It's tricky to answer, but in the broad strokes, those wanting to jump in with Strikers should be mostly fine. There are a few references to the story of the original game, along with comparisons between the palace dungeons found there and the new jails. It's something that fans will immediately know, but not so dense as new players couldn't figure out the broad strokes. The story itself picks up a few months after the end of Persona 5, with a reunion between Joker and the rest of the Phantom Thieves. The group is planning to spend summer vacation together, but during a trip for supplies in Shibuya, Joker is pulled back into the alternate world of the metaverse, where a whole new set of trials and rules await him. No longer are there palaces to explore, but jails run by a monarch who is hoarding stolen desires and causing the public to go off kilter. Now it's up to the Phantom Thieves to reunite to not only free the desires, but clear their names with the police. That's the setup, at least so far, and it really does feel like slipping back into this world. While I can't say if the story feels more like a true sequel or an anime movie trying to recapture the magic quite yet, there's no doubt that the package still feels like such a treat. Revisiting memorable locations, meeting all the characters again, exploring Tokyo, everything feels how it did in the original game, which is quite the feat considering this is ostensibly a Warriors game. And really, there are only a few moments where it feels like one. From my time so far, roughly 8 hours, this is more like a Persona action RPG. Like all Warriors games, every character has access to light and strong attacks that can be strung together to pull off various moves to clear out enemies. But the big difference is the addition of guns and the Personas themselves. I haven't used the guns too much in my playthrough so far, as I often forget about them, but it does retain the feel of the main game. Personas is how it all feels different from past Warriors titles, as bringing out a persona immediately pauses the action, allowing players as much time as they need to decide what spell, attack, or status effect to use. This also means that each character has their own HP and SP bar to manage all of this, again recreating the feel of Persona 5, just as an action game. Owing to the nature of Persona, every enemy has an elemental weakness, and hitting that weakness puts them in a down state, allowing an all-out attack. It's not as flashy as the main game, but it is an effective area of attack that can quickly dispatch most enemies. There are also interaction points where the Phantom Thieves can use the environment to attack enemy shadows, whether swinging on a light pole, setting off party poppers, or even skateboarding through them. Finally, specials come in the form of showtimes. They take a while to build up, but they can absolutely turn the tide of a fight. But the slow nature of them is purposeful, as passing between your chosen party of 4 will actually boost how quickly the meter fills. And that's the great thing about Strikers. It's fast, frenetic, and feels like Persona. It actually threw me for a loop coming off Age of Calamity because I was so used to defending in that game. There's no defend button here. It's all about dodging and being aware of your surroundings, which landed me in hot water during some of the bigger battles. I died quite a few times, even just on normal difficulty. It really taught me that who your team is really matters, but you'll likely not know what the party should be until after an initial loss, due to not knowing the enemy weaknesses until it's too late. But there's way more to this game than just constant battles. The new jails are quite large in scope, allowing for plenty of enemies on screen when necessary, but that's usually not the case. Rather than a huge battlefield with swaths of shadows in your path, you're still a thief and tend not to get into these big battles. Instead, it's all about sneaking up on individual guards who then split into 10 to 20 shadows for a smaller fight. It wasn't until I had secured a route to the Desire that a massive battle broke out where I was actually fighting for my life. But once I got accustomed to fights of that size, it became a thrill, fully putting to work everything I had learned. The boss fights do feel like damage sponges at times, but it really put a focus on how much I needed to actually stock up on healing items, as I typically didn't bother in the original game. Your SP will run out. Strikers is an incredibly linear game and doesn't follow the time days of Persona 5, where only a few things could be accomplished day to day. The day won't progress until the story says so, making for a less stressful game of time management. It's even possible to exit the jail at any time to heal, shop for better equipment, or stop by the Velvet Room to fuse or strengthen personas for Joker. The Velvet Room is a bit more limited this time around, as fusions are not as wide open as Persona 5. Instead, what the fusions could be are shown by level with the exact personas needed. It's simpler, but I can also get back into the action faster. Personas can also be strengthened with Persona points, which are earned from grabbing dropped masks of the personas you already own. In this way, I can ensure that my team of personas could stay around my level. The last element I'd like to mention is the bond system, which earns experience through battle and story progression. Each level grants several points, which can then be spent in various categories, allowing for increased stats for the Phantom Thieves or other bonuses like better rewards from battle or more effective equipment. It adds a layer of uniqueness to each person's playthrough, as everyone is sure to favor something different. In all, I've loved what I've played so far of Persona 5 Strikers. It feels so different from other Warriors games while capturing what worked about Persona 5. The story has me intrigued, though I'm not sure it'll reach the heights of the original. At the very least, it's great to spend more time with these characters. Speaking of, there's not a single member of the cast I don't enjoy playing. Joker is fast and versatile owing to the different personas he can switch between. Ryuji is a short-ranged heavy hitter who can power up his strong attacks. Morgana is incredibly nimble and wacky with how he turns into a car. Ann feels like a magic powerhouse. Yusuke is all about precise strikes and counters. Makoto is pure power and able to ride around the battles on Johanna. Haru can rapidly press her strong attacks to extend their effects, and newcomer Sophia, who is simply too adorable for words, can power up her attacks by catching her yo-yos with precise timing. Strikers has made a great first impression so far, but whether it can maintain this momentum is something I'll have to see. I have noticed that the audio balancing is a little off in places, and this is Persona, so cutscenes can go on for quite a while. That said, if you've ever dreamed of an action RPG version of Persona, this is one to keep an eye on. I think it's possible that even players not interested in warrior-style gameplay could really enjoy this. But come back in February for my full review and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this preview, please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming so we can create more videos like this in the future. All of your support truly means the world, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and we'll catch you on Good Vibes Gaming next time. Bye!